Today, what I wanted to do is talk about why I think the SMART goals method of achieving and setting goal is like BS. So I think that first of all, I guess if you're not familiar with the SMART method of setting and achieving goal, SMART is an acronym that's used a lot it's a lot times used in companies and businesses and organizations, in education. It's used with anywhere you really have to set a goal, right? But I think that there are some flaws in it. So here's what the SMART method is of setting and achieving goals is if you're not familiar with what that is. So SMART stands for your goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. All right. One thing that I'm just going to fill you in here on a little bit of the background about me and who I am. I worked in higher education, K-12 education, name your world of education, corporate America education, corporate training, all of it. I've done all of it. And I have a PhD in information technology. I've worked over the years with learning how to use and implement technology in education. YouTube being a really good example of that, of how you can learn all sorts of great stuff like this. And so I was a college professor. I was university dean. I was a college vice president. I was a vice president of academics. I have worked with thousands, tens of thousands of people over their lifetime and helping them achieve their career goals and personal and professional goals, even working with faculty, people who already have PhDs. They've already been very, very, very successful in their careers and helping them to just strive for more and whatever it is that they're looking to do. And I always say I'm really, really, really good at setting big goals and achieving them. And I'm also really good at if somebody comes to me and says, I want to do this thing, I'll help you make it happen. I might not know how to do all the things, but I'm going to find the resources that you need to be able to achieve that goal. All right. So that's just a little bit of a background about me. So SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Basically, what I think is wrong with the SMART method of setting and achieving goals is this. This is it right here. I think that there are a lot of people, probably myself included. I can think of one really big example of something just recently that happened, that you set yourself a goal not knowing that it is actually achievable in the time that you have set. All right. So the example for myself was I broke my leg January of 2023. I had a huge hike planned for April of 2023, 16 weeks. It was like 16 weeks to the day that I broke my leg. And I was like telling the doctors and the physical therapists and all, it's like, I will do everything you tell me to do. Like, I need to be able to go on this hike. And it was like, Heather, you can't really speed up the healing process. Yeah, you can be a compliant patient, do all the work, but there's certain processes, certain things that need to happen within your body that are just going to take longer than that. All right. And that was something I didn't understand. I didn't understand some of the biology and some of the physiology of the injury that I had. And so it really took this external person who understood it better to help me understand that my goal that I had set for myself was probably too rigorous in the sense that I'm just going to be set up for failure and disappointment because I didn't achieve that goal. All right. And the reason I didn't achieve it wasn't anything that I did. It's just that's how long it takes. One really good analogy that I always like to use when I'm talking about goal setting and just understanding the time needed to achieve goals is this. The gestation period of a human being is right around 9 months, right? So you have one woman who gets pregnant and she carries a baby ideally to 9 months or 40 weeks. What you can't do is get 9 women pregnant for 1 month to grow a baby to full term. Okay. So it's that same thing. And so when I'm working with people to help them set a goal, that probably the biggest thing I see is they'll set a goal for themselves, not understanding that it's just not realistically going to happen in the time frame in which they have set it for themselves. I would have students come and say, I need to be making 6 figures before I even graduate college. And because I got bills to pay and I got things to do, and I need to have. I remember I had a student say that he wanted to be in the corner office by the time he graduated. And it's like, that's just probably, unless you like start your own business and give yourself your own corner office, like you gotta understand like certain things take time. And I think that that is one of the things that I see with setting big goals, setting really big goals for yourself and being able to achieve them is the way to do it is to say, I'm going to do this thing. I want to do this thing, but I don't know when it's going to be done. I don't know when I'm going to be ready to do it, or I don't know how long it's going to take me to do it. And that's when you start doing things like doing some research, talking to people, getting information, gathering data, and gathering all the things, right? If you say to yourself, I want to lose 70 pounds in 2 months, is that realistic? Probably not. Sure, I'm sure there's people out there that have done it, but like you're miserable. Start thinking about what are the things that I can do that's going to get me there, the things that I can do this week or this month or this quarter. One thing I really like to do, and I'm reading this book called the 12-week year, and it's really about breaking down your goals into 12 weeks or quarters. And the guy that wrote the book, it might be a guy, it might be a girl, I actually don't know who the author is, but the idea here is that you have a larger vision for your life and then you set 12-week goals that really start getting you towards those larger vision goals of your life. I approach it a little bit differently. I actually have a list of things I want to accomplish by a certain age. I started it when I was 30, and it was a list of things I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 35. And then it became, this is the list of things I want to complete by the time I'm 40. Then I had it for 45, and now I have 50, but then I also have, these are goals that I want to achieve at some point in my lifetime. I just don't know exactly when yet. Okay. So they're out there in the universe, but I just don't have an idea yet of when they're going to be done. And so what you can do is say, okay, I have this goal. I have this thing I want to do. I might not know how long it's going to take me to do it, but these are the things I'm going to do over the next 12 weeks to get me closer to that goal. So maybe it's something that's going to take you 5 years to do, but you're going to be doing things each quarter toward getting you to that goal. Now, when I first decided to hike the Grand Canyon, I didn't just go and say, oh, I'm going to hike it and then hike it 12 weeks later. I'd always been a bodybuilder, weightlifter. I really didn't like endurance sports, not really my thing. And when I was 40, for my 40th birthday, my husband took me to the Grand Canyon to see it. I had never seen it before. I had only flown over it and I wanted to see it. And there were, as you're standing on the edge of the canyon, you can see the hiking trail going down into the canyon. So I asked him, I said, can you hike this? I didn't think you could hike it. And he said, yeah, there's people, they go from one rim to the other rim. And I was like, there's an idea. And it took me 5 years to get to the point that I was ready to do it. Like the first time I hiked an actual mountain, I had been doing hiking, but I hadn't been going up and down mountains. And the first time I went up a mountain, I had a freaking asthma attack. I didn't know what was going on. So it was like, all right, I got to reassess here. And so what I'm going to keep doing is I'm going to keep doing the things that I need to do to build up my endurance so that I can achieve this goal. All right. So I really think the smart method of setting goals is used a lot in business. HR departments love it. I think it's really good if you are very, 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 this is what I'm going to do and here's when I have to have it done by. But there's so many things that can impact that time frame. All right, especially in business. There's so many things out of your control if you're leading a department or you're an individual contributor. A lot of this stuff is stuff that you don't have control over other people and their contributions towards making that goal happen, right? So same thing goes with health and fitness goals and things like this. There's just a lot of stuff you don't have control over. But I think that you should have a general area of where you're going, a general direction of where you're going, and then every 12 weeks, set those goals of these are the things that I'm going to do to get myself closer to that goal. So I think that's a better method for setting and achieving goals. But I do think it is a good idea to make sure that your goals are framed very specifically in a way that you say, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't do it. It's not done yet. Okay. So you can check it off saying, yes, this goal is done. No, it's not done. One big goal I have is to be able to hike Kilimanjaro at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen. I need to do a lot of training to get ready for a hike like that. But it's something that I'm going to say, yes, I did it, or no, it hasn't been done yet. So you got to be very, very, very specific with what your goal is. But setting that time frame on it, you don't always know. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know what time frame you need to be able to achieve that goal. So Anyways, that is my viewpoint on how to set really big goals and actually achieve them, but not be frustrated with the process because you don't always achieve them in the time frame in which you think it should be achieved. You can say to yourself, I'm going to do this thing in a week, and it's just not realistic, and you're just setting yourself up for disappointment and frustration. And so by setting these larger goals, larger vision, and then every 12 weeks setting smaller goals that just gets you towards that larger vision or that larger goal that you have.